Hey folks, Paul Stanley, Carson Oaks Church. Obviously not in the church or in my office. I'm hanging out here with my motorcycle, and this is relevant to today's devotional. I had a bike something like this about 30 years ago. In fact, this bike was built as a replica of that bike because I liked it so much. But on that bike, I was planning a trip from northern Indiana down the Atlantic coast, and I was having one problem after the other prior to the trip, and I kept going down to the bike shop and getting parts to fix the bike, and it was in the lower end, so I kept taking the same cover off again and again, and finally, instead of going back down to the bike shop to get one more gasket, I decided I'm going to use enough sealer on that thing to make sure it don't leak. The only thing I made sure of was that the oil didn't return the way that it should to the top end, and it smoked the engine. I rode that thing from northern Indiana down to Virginia Beach like that. I could tell something wasn't quite right, but I was just ignoring it, hoping that it would go away, and it didn't. And what should have cost me about 10 bucks for the gasket to fix in my time ended up costing me about $3,000. And here's the problem. There were signs along the way that something was wrong, but I ignored it. I just didn't want to pay attention to it. I was tired of taking that motor apart, and it ended up costing me a lot of money. I should have paid attention to detail. I should have paid close attention to the signs that something wasn't right, but I didn't, and it cost me. You know, and you're wondering how I'm going to make this into a devo for the day. It's this. Sin is the same way in our lives as Christian people. It comes in, there's small signs at first that something ain't right, and oftentimes we'll choose to ignore it. We want what we want. We want what we want in our flesh, and we go for it anyway. And it's something that could have been addressed earlier, ends up becoming a very expensive lesson in our life when it doesn't have to be. James says this about sin in our lives: that each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desires and enticed. Then after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it's full grown, gives birth to death. If we just pay attention to detail before we let those things become full grown, we can avoid some very expensive lessons in our life. But oftentimes as Christians, we're in that hurry, or we want what we want and we ignore it, and then it's out of control. I'll encourage you to have that. It is hard. It is hard to live a disciplined life as a Christian man or as a Christian woman. And there are a lot of things in the world that's going on that entice us and try to drag us in. But we know in the back of our mind somewhere that something's not quite right. And when you get that feeling, when you get that check in your spirit, do something about it right away. Avoid it, walk away from it, give it up, whatever it is that you have to do, because it could end up becoming a very expensive lesson that you could have avoided. So God bless you. We'll see you next time. I hope you guys are staying safe. Amen.